Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is your host with the most, King Geo in the house. What's up? Today's Friday. Pre-Halloween. Hope you guys, when you take your kids to Halloween trick-or-treating tomorrow, make sure that you check their candies. Make sure that the candies are safe. Because let me tell you something. In New York a few years ago, I did find a razor in one of my kids' candy. At that time, they were kids. Now they're grown. Well, anyways, so I want to thank each and every one of you who's going to join my live TV today. I wanted to say something before I start my program. Today is going to be the cover up of Laundrie, Brian Laundrie, his family, the Laundrie family. But I want to say something. I want to give a shout out to Popcorn TV, whom I saw today was doing something that's very good. They were doing awareness whenever this was awareness for women in domestic violence. October is Domestic Violence Month, and I think that we, as content creators, we should instead of it's great to do content, but when you are like us, that you're creating content this way you can raise awareness for people. That you raise awareness that you let the people know that there are other things out there that are important to us. And domestic violence should be one of them, and raising money and raising awareness for domestic violence people in domestic violence relationship is very important, and not just women for the woman part, but also for the men, because we have to take into account that there are a lot of men out there who are in a domestic violence relationship, but they're the victims and they don't know how, they won't say anything because they're men. Their machismo stays in the way, and we have to take that away. As men, you can't let that happen. And we often think that domestic violence is basically physical when it's not. There's verbal domestic violence, there's verbal abuse, there's physical abuse, emotional abuse. So you don't have to be in a physical relationship to have an abuse. So you could be in a verbal abuse. So and a lot of stuff. Hey, J Jerk, what's up, buddy? Long time. So that's what I want to say. I want to give a shout out to Popcorn TV for making that aware, that raising consciousness, which we have to do, which is very very important. Let's go to what's going on in reality, because in the Brian Laundrie case, which there is no more kid, because this case has been this story has been so botched, right? So as I was seeing my video, if you see my video from 2 days ago, yesterday, I think, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that they're saying that Brian Laundrie probably was dead 2 days after they reported um Gabby Petito missing. Oh no, that's the backdrop, JJ. That's the backdrop. I can't even play the piano, bro. That one right there. But thank you anyway. So they're saying 2 days after she was reported missing. So we got this straight. From my understanding, the last time that Gabby Petito was seen was August 27th in a restaurant called Miss Piglet, something like that. And they had walked out the restaurant. There were some accounts to it. There were different accounts, but the real story was that they weren't arguing. They walked out. They thought the waiter thought they was gonna pay, but they paid outside. Then they came back in. And that was August 27th. And the following day, the last time they saw him alive were in a hotel that Brian Laundrie left her there, supposedly. So that's the last time they have him in camera in that place. We don't know if they were somewhere around. There was CCTV cameras around wherever they're at, Moab, or the case may be. We don't know that yet. Or we don't know. So let's say there was. I'm not sure. So supposedly Brian Laundrie. Let's look at the Brian Laundrie. You like my T-shirt, guys? Look, King Geo, as you can see. This is gonna be the production, guys. So if you like, let me know. So supposedly Brian Laundrie went back to Florida September the 1st, right? September the 1st, and she wasn't reported missing until September. Well, she wasn't. It was told to her parents on September 11th. So that was 10 days. They didn't say nothing, right? 10 days. And then they said that on the 15th, if I'm not mistaken, that was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, that that Brian Laundrie went to the park, to his national park, and on the following, and that Wednesday, the following day, um, apparently the parents went there, saw their car, didn't see Brian, saw their car, took the car back home, and then report Brian missing until Friday, right? So that's on the day. So they had 10 days that they didn't say anything to Gabby Petito's family. Then and in this 10 days they go on a trip, which was for, if I'm not mistaken, for 2 days, and then they report her son missing. And then the police says that they're mistaken identity, right? That they're mistaken, and they thought that his mother was him. They thought his mother was him. That's what the police is saying. And I want to emphasize something real strong here. There was no crime. We cannot blame Northport police because there was no crime that was committed in Northport. There was no crime committed in Northport. The crime was committed in Moab, the crime where they found Gabby Petito's body. That's where the crime was committed at, in that state. And being at the park is a federal park. So now it's the job of the FBI because it was a federal land that Gabby Petito's body was found. And I have to do something. If you guys can tell me how to do this, this is too shiny. Like I don't like that. So anyway, so the Northport police have nothing to do with the case of Gabby Petito at all. I see a lot of people getting behind their back, but they did the search with other people with the FBI volunteers, and they didn't find Brian's body. They didn't find Brian's body in in that lake or in that park. The parents did. Do I think there is a not conspiracy? Let me see something. That conspiracy. Then, what I'm trying to look for, are these people corrupt? Not the cops per se, but the parents. Yes, the parents have to do a lot with Brian Laundrie's disappearance. The parents, I'm surprised why the parents aren't even arrested. I'm totally surprised why the parents are not arrested. I heard of a TikToker by the name of Olivia. She was banned from TikTok because she went down and she found some bones. She found something of Gary Petito. I'm not quite sure, but if this woman if she went to all this length to find something, she found something that the cops didn't find, and that just tells you something. Whether either the police or the FBI lacks resources, or they lack empathy, or they don't care, or they're the people who are behind the search are inexperienced. Could be all of the above, but we have to take into consideration that this draws national attention. And like I said before, the Northport police have nothing to do with Gabby Petito. This all falls on the FBI, and the disappearance of Brian and the things that have been going on for such a long time falls on the parents too. Because I can guarantee you, the parents knew what was going on. The parents knew, they planned everything. And I'm not going to say the lawyers on this because that's without evidence. I'm not going to point the lawyer to it. But this was planned, how this was going to be played out, because they have so much time. They had so much time. And for them to just go and find the body themselves, and not the FBI, not the local police, and not members, not volunteers, that just tells you something, where the mother goes straight down, and then straight down, walks the path, and finds the body of her son. Okay. That to me is suspicious. I can be honest with you. Maybe you guys may agree with me. I don't even think Brian Laundrie is dead. Gotta remember this. This family is worth $5 million, people. $5 million. That might be little, but that's a lot to a lot of us. And with $5 million, you can do a lot. You can buy a cadaver, right? Knock Brian's teeth out easily and put it there. Because the only excuse me, the only way they found that it was him was through dental records, which means nothing. Well, that could be a tooth, one or two teeth. Give me nothing. So I think this gentleman is still alive because, come on, no body, just a skull and partial bones. That's it. That's it. They say that the water covered the spot where he was at. I don't believe none of that crap. I don't believe none of that. Some people tell me, okay, yeah, crocodile could have eaten him, a body could have. No, come on. His body would have floated a long. I mean, his body would have floated way, way out to the ocean. And bodies float. Bodies float. That's science. And you're gonna tell me that no one saw his body float when they were doing the search? And they searched that area. They searched that area, and no one saw nobody. But from the morning to the night, this lady just happens to just say, you know what? I want to go see this. Tomorrow. I want to go and go find my son. I'm gonna go to the spot, and she finds within half an hour. She's walking. She walks right to the spot, finds the bag, and finds the body. That kind of thing. That seems kind of suspicious to me. And now by saying now that the police saying that they confused his mother Roberta with Brian, and that's how they probably got the timeline. And they're saying that Brian could have been dead 2 days after they reported Gabby Petito missing. 2 days after, guys. 2 days after. So what does that tell you? So what happens to these 10 days that they were searching for this kid? For this man, not a kid. He's not a kid, I'm sorry. For this man. 10, 12 days that they were searching for him. So where was he? If you guys say that you think he was 10 days, he was 2 days after the Petito report missing, you believe that he was dead day 2 days later. How did you come to that conclusion? Is that something you guys within the Northport community or Northport police made up? Is that the narrative that you want people to believe, that he died 2 days after Gabby Petito's was reported missing? You want us to believe that bullshit? Really? Because I'm not gonna believe that shit. Okay, I'm not gonna even believe that the mother went there and just coincidentally found the body on a spot. Like she said that's where he frequents. When there's been multiple, but there's been a lot of people that went there and no one found shit. Hey, 3.5 G-Man, what's up? I'm doing good on yourself. It is ridiculous. The only thing that I can say about this search is that there were 9 bodies found. Those 2 girls, those 2 ladies that were found also in Moab. Justice needs to be done for them also. I want to report on that too, because it's not fair to just concentrate on Gabby and not concentrate on the other people that were found missing. Gabby's case is a tragic case. Yes, it is. So that's something that we have to take into consideration. Okay, G 3.5. I don't know why I'm answering this question. It says, what's your thoughts on the Omi in the Hellcat case? Okay. To divert, I don't know why people want to find out about Omi, but look, the Omi in the Hellcat case, it's very simple. You don't need a genius to figure this out. You have this gentleman who, for those who don't know, Omi in the Hellcat, he has a channel where, in sense, that he was just arrested a few weeks ago for an IPTV service, right? For an IPTV service that he said that he didn't know he was doing was wrong. He said he was working in a gray area. All right, that's what he said. He said he was working in a gray area. He amassed a fortune, and they arrested him for tax evasion, for numerous counts of illegal activities. Okay, so here he is. He's saying that he thought that he was dealing with something that was legal, that it was in a gray area. Now we all know. If you guys don't know, you can have an IPTV, but you have to have permission from that company to produce their content. Now, this gentleman had several houses where he had several cable companies. All right, he had service in his house, right? Several houses, and then he would take that service and he would distribute it. Now, when he would distribute it, if you look at your cable company, your internet is very sensitive, and it has a signal. It has something inside of your cable. When you download and illegal content that goes back to the mainframe. That mainframe knows that you did that you're downloading something that's illegal. So this is where anyone who's downloaded something illegal from a torrent. Remember when Showbox was on and people downloaded Showbox, and then you downloaded a movie with a torrent, which was a bad thing because if you downloaded it with a torrent, that torrent's going to send on a signal that it's copyright infringement. So you get a lot of stating, hey, you get a lot of saying, hey, King Geo, we're just writing to you, letting you know that there was a downloaded movie or whatever coming from your server. Can you please? We letting you aware. Can you please stop it? And they just send you that little warning. So he had he had devices that would prevent from that service, from that cable service, to pick up on illegal content that he was streaming. So here he is. He's streaming all these channels for free. All right. Not he didn't get permission from NBC, CBS, or whatever, whoever is the one that owns these. Didn't get permission from them to stream them, and that's where the copyright infringement comes in. So he had this, so that he was selling this to people for $12.99 or whatever it was, and that's illegal. Okay, big companies get contracts. Like if I wanted to open up my own service, TV service, I would talk to NBC, CBS, whoever it is that I want to work with. I have to give them a percentage of what I have to give them a percentage or a contract. We signed a contract saying that I want to produce 10 shows, 10 episodes of The Big Bang Theory. So I have to produce. I have to give that company, which is CBS, I have to give them money so I can air 10 episodes of The Big Bang Theory, right? And then whatever I make in commercials, because that's how they make their money, is through sponsorship and commercials. I make that. I gotta get a percentage or whatever the case may be, and plus, the actors get a percentage of that too. So that's where it all comes in. He was doing this illegally, and he knows it because he was working with Solo Man. He was working with entertainment. He was working with other people. He knew that IPTV service. You know, if you're working in the gray area, then you wouldn't need what is called a decoder. He had multiple decoders, so he can decode when he was streaming his videos out or what the content they were streaming. It would decode, so then this way the cable company would not know that he's doing this, that he's streaming this illegally. That's what the decoder is for. And they found multiple decoders in several houses, right? So that being said, Omi's biggest, okay, I don't knock nobody's game. Like my nephew said, yo, King Gio, Uncle G, don't knock nobody's game. That's cool. I'm not knocking nobody's game because God knows how many things illegal our government does, right? So, okay, fine. I'm not going to go there. Well, what I'm trying to say is that his biggest mistake was going on YouTube and flaunting what he had. That was his mistake because, come on, guys, here you have a Hispanic young man who has nothing and now displaying all these cars is going to grab someone's attention. And not only someone's attention, you have haters out there. The haters are going to be like, yo, Omi's doing this or King Gio is doing that. Last week, King Gio wasn't doing anything. Or I can, or I can just go to 3.5 Main and, and I can, shut him out. Like, I don't want to be your friend no more. You and I can't hook up. And he might turn around and say, oh, yeah, really? He knows what I'm doing. He calls the FBI and say, yo, King Gio's doing this illegal. And the FBI is going to look into my YouTube channel and say, wow, he got Lamborghinis, he got this, he got that. How did he amass all this stuff? Okay. The tax evasion, the tax fraud comes from all that too. Because even if you're selling drugs, anything that you're making income on, even if you're selling drugs, you have to report income on it. Even if it is drug money, it's illegal, but you have to report income on that. No matter what. So the FBI is talking about that he had over that they amassed over $30 million on IPTV servers. You have to report that as income, no matter what. No matter what. So that's his downfall. For him to say that that's a gray area, that he didn't do anything illegal, that's kind of hard to sell. That is kind of hard. So like if you saw the movie Scarface when Al Pacino, when Tony Montana got caught doing money, he said, I'm not doing anything illegal, I'm just counting money. No, you're washing money. So it's totally different. I mean, it's the same concept, different scenarios, but that's what I'm trying to tell you is it's the same thing. You just saying, oh, I didn't know, or I was doing this is a gray area. No, a gray it's not a gray area. You know that you were downloading, you were feeding you were feeding illegally content. You were copywriting. That's called copyright infringement. You cannot do anything without the permission, written consent of that proprietor. And the proprietor being NBC, CBS, Paramount Pictures, HBO, whatever it is that you're streaming. It is different. It's different that if I'm in a bar, I own my bar, and I pay for a pay-per-view. I pay for a pay-per-view. That's my bar. I can pay-per-view. So I'm showing it on my TV. Whoever wants to come in and watch it, they can come in and watch it. But I cannot charge to watch that, because if I do charge, and that's cutting out the other man, which is the pay-per-view company, because it's supposed to be per household. I mean, a lot of people do it. You know, back in the days, you were pay-per-view, $10 to come in the door, blah 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 blah. But that's a whole different story. But that's not the case. So they had multiple boxes with decoders, and and when you go on YouTube and you portray yourself like that, and you have all this money, they're gonna say, where did this guy get all this money from? Especially if you're black or Hispanic, right? Probably wouldn't matter if you were white. Maybe would have, maybe would not. I'm not gonna go there, but probably wouldn't matter. So, um, he's gonna end up copying the plea. He's doing jail time. He's not gonna whenever you see a case that they say, oh, he could be facing 120 years. You don't face 120 years. That's the maximum you can get. You know, so that's the maximum is that if you take it to trial. If you take it to trial, you lose. Most likely, the judge will give you the max, because the judges are like, they're inclined to do that, because you took them to court. You let them spend all this money. But if you cop a plea, maybe what, 3 years, 4 years, he'll probably end up doing. And that money that he made, if they find out that all that money was made, you say, "Oh, me in the feds." What are you talking about? Why he got arrested? He got. Nah, bro. This is my backdrop. I don't know if Obi got rearrested. I'm not sure, but that's what it is. You know, he might put on Obi. He's gonna end up doing 3 to 4 years. Come on, guys. If Martha Stewart did 6 months, if Wesley Snipes did 3 years in prison for owing, I think it was like maybe $2 million, how much do you think Obi's gonna get? Hmm? And the only reason Wesley Snipes got that much, they got 3 years, because he kept fighting the case, because he kept saying that he's not from this country, or the lawyers that he had tried to bake or tell the state what they can and can't do, because he's not supposed to pay taxes because he's from this land, or whatever it was. I don't remember, but it was to that effect. That's why he got 3 years. Of that, he would have done nothing, because if you pay your taxes, even if it is illegal, even if it is an illegal activity, you don't you don't go to jail for tax fraud. You go to jail for selling drugs, but you don't go to jail for tax fraud. So if you're out there in that corner and you're selling drugs, right, or whatever it is they do nowadays, and you're making 20, 30, $40,000 a year on that little spot right there, and you don't report that, and you get arrested, if they wanted to get you a tax fraud because you made that money, and any income that you get, legal or illegal, it has to be reported. That's just the name. That's the name of the game. And that's the same way when you do wholesaling. Those who do wholesaling, that you watch all these people on YouTube doing wholesaling, you can make money doing wholesaling. You can make money doing DoorDash. You can make money doing you Uber. I'm making money here on YouTube, because whatever money you get, you're working as a freelancer. You don't pay tax on it. But with that money that you do have, that you get from YouTube, the money that you get from Uber, the money that you get from DoorDash, at the end of the year, when you get your 1099, whatever the case may be, you have to pay taxes on that money that you made. So if you're doing Uber, if you're doing DoorDash, you can get away with it, because you can put deductibles. You can put deductibles as far as gas mileage, and you spend money on this, you spend money on that, you spend money on wheels. So you get some incentive. When you're doing YouTube and you're doing wholesaling, you get $5,000, $10. If you get $10,000 on a wholesale house, right? You get $10,000 on the house. At the end of the year, you have to pay that money, and that's capital gain. So that means that you have to pay 35 to 40% on that. So you have to be careful. So that's my take. That's my take on Omi. You're gonna end up probably doing it between 3 to 4 years, which is when he gets sentenced, they'll say between 36 and 48 months because they deal in months. Same thing, but the legality of it, lingo wise, law lingo wise, is months instead of years. Same concept. It's like taking, like here we use pounds, over in Europe they use ounces. So here we call it a quarter pound of hamburger, over there they probably call it something different because the metric system in Europe is different than ours. Same weight, same amount of weight. A pound of fat and a pound of nails, they both weigh the same because they're both a pound, but the same weight. So if they go, they make a 16 ounce of hamburger, same thing as saying they make a pound of hamburger, same thing. So 16 ounces equals 1 pound. So going back to Brian Laundrie, so the parents covered up. The parents covered up a crime. The parents took it upon themselves not to tell Gabby Petito's family what was going on, that this gentleman, that their son came back without Gabby. Okay? And they're rich. They are rich. And you have people like Monty Golightly go down there. You have people like Olivia go down there. And you have a lot of people that went down there to voice their stress. Because it is appalling that as a parent, I'm a parent, and I would never, ever in my life shield my kids from a murder. If they committed such a heinous crime, as less as self-defense, if they committed such a heinous crime, I would tell them you have to go to the police. I'll call the police on you because you took a life, so you have to pay for it. I don't believe in the death penalty, but somehow you have to pay for the life that you took. Like I said, I listen to self-defense, but I'm not gonna tell my son or daughter, oh, I'm gonna pay your money so you can get out of the country. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna hide you as best as I can. No, because that's not what it's all about. As a parent, you don't do that. You want to protect your kids as much as you can, but it comes to times you go, well, that's it. You went. There's a line. You crossed that line. You love them to death. You want to be there for them, but there's a line that was crossed. And when you think about it, as graphic as it may be, this kid strangled this. I keep saying kid. This man strangled this young lady. So just put that in your head, or close your eyes and think about that. This lady, this young woman, was suffocating as this guy was taking her life away. And then he drove back from there like nothing all the way back to Florida. So you can see his mom and dad. Okay, and his mom and dad, Roberta and all them, was just not talking to the press, not talking to the FBI, because Northport police, like I said before, Northport police couldn't do anything because it wasn't a missing case because they didn't report. Gabby was not reported until after the 11th of September, and he got back on the first, right? Supposedly, he got back on the first. So Northport police can say nothing. You can't do nothing because where is she? You went with her to Moab, and you didn't come back with her. Is she in Florida? And if you refuse to talk, you can refuse to talk. But they should have investigated. But the parents should have said something the minute that man went into the house. The minute their son went into the house without Gabby, they should have questioned him and they should have reported that to the parents. Listen, Miss Petito, my son came today and Gabby's not with him. They say you start the search. Yes, she was already gone, but you could have gone down to Florida. You could have done something. You could have done to Moab. You could have done something out there. You could have probably found her body, and you would have been at peace. You have your daughter. You could have stuff like that. She was out there on the desert alone. The body was spirits them different, and that's not right. It really isn't. While you have your son in your house eating, showering, and all that kind of stuff. And if his conscience got to him, that's between him and God. But his parents covered up this thing. And when you have $5 million to play with, you can do shit like that. Don't think that you can't. Don't think that you can't buy injustice in this country because it's America. You think that our justice system is correct. No, it's not. Okay, money can buy a lot of corruption. Money can buy a lot of cops. It's the truth. Whether it's here in the United States or any part of the world. Do you think you see movies where you go to Mexico and the cops get bought, or you go to Dominican Republic where the cops get bought, or Colombia where the cops get bought, Here in the United States, cops get bought. Just, today, guys, today, another, another. Let me say, just this way. I don't do this wrong. I want to show you something that happened today. These are the things that we should be talking about too, but we don't. But we don't. Um, where is it at? Okay, listen to this, guys. Listen to this. Okay, over 100 arrested in Florida human trafficking investigation. Over 100 people arrested in the state of Florida for human trafficking. For human trafficking. So just have an idea of all these kids, these young boys, these young girls who are trapped in the web of these assholes, prostituting themselves because for whatever reason they ran away from home or they were abused at home, they couldn't take it, and they go to these places and then they see these men and women who prey on them and say, we'll give you a good house, we'll do this, we'll do that, we're your new family now. They befriend them and they're out there prostituting themselves. Those are the kind of things that we should be talking about. Human trafficking. We don't do that here in the United States. We just let that we let that go in the back burner because we're dealing with Biden. Big deal. We're dealing with Trumpism. We're dealing with left wings. We're dealing with right wings. That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant because that already passed. That already passed the election passed. We shouldn't even be talking about. We shouldn't be talking about voters fraud. None of that. What should we be concentrating is on stuff like this, human trafficking, because there is a big, big problem here in the United States with human trafficking and sex trafficking that we do not talk about. We refuse to talk about that. We refuse to talk about that. Why? The only thing that I can give to Donald Trump that I did like about his administration is that he went after the MS-13. He took them out of California, some of them in California, but mostly in Long Island City, in Long Island, New York, where there was a mass amount of MS-13 that killed, like I think they killed 9 or 10 people. And being that those people, the people that he killed, their families are illegal, so they didn't press any charges or they didn't put up any reports because they thought that ICE was going to come after them. And whenever you're in a town and you let a gang take over, that's no good as a community. The same way that the people of Minneapolis are fighting right now as we speak because they want to defund the police and they want to make it a community base, which I think is a bad idea. But they did say that back in the days, the police force back in the days brought crime down. I don't know if that's true or not. Probably it is, but I'm not going to get into that. But the same way that the people of Minneapolis are fighting to defund the police to make it a community base, this is the same way people needs to. That whenever you see a gang in your neighborhood, whenever you see a gang that's going to start to be a gang, you have to, as a neighborhood, you have to step in and say, no, 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 not in this neighborhood. I'm sorry. I don't care what kind of gang it is. I don't care what kind of gang it is. And that's what happened with the MS-13. And they got a hold of that. And even the police in Long Island is predominantly white. And the police didn't even do anything until one of them got arrested and the federal government came in. That's when Donald Trump came in. That's the only thing I give to him. But we have to look out for our children, man. And this hurts seeing 100 people arrested. Can you imagine how many people, how many young boys and girls were caught in this? How many sick men had sex with these people, with these young kids? That's sick, bro. That's sick. You know the kind of things that we should be addressing. Um. So yeah. So we should be thankful that on the hunt for Brian Laundrie, these 9 bodies were found, and their families can rest in peace, knowing that their family members were found. And now you want closure. Now you want to find out what happened to them. And like the 2 women that were found dead were searching for at Gabby Petito in Moab, in the same place where Gabby was at. Um, and we all forgot about them, and they kept concentrating on Gabby Petito. But we should go back and concentrate on them because we need to give them a voice too. We need to give the voice to each and every one who has disappeared in this country on a malicious act. on a stupid decision that someone made, and you try to. I don't know, man. I mean, we live in a country. I mean, it happens everywhere in the world, but it's kind of sad that you pick up a paper and say, "Well, we were looking for the body of this young lady. We found 9 other bodies. All right, we found 9 other bodies." You're like, "Wow, you found 9 other bodies." So what does that tell you? These officers, these detectives that were looking for these 9 people are no good. Are no good at all in investigating. So why do you have a job of a detective if you can't detect? You know, it would have been nice to see. I can't say he's dead because he's not. But I was about to say it would have been nice to see Brian Laundrie alive, and so the people can they can question him. But we're not gonna get that chance because I think he's still alive. He's somewhere. He's alive somewhere, bro. $5 million can buy you a lot. So he's alive somewhere, drinking some mojitos, but he's alive somewhere. I'm not gonna bother the story that they just found his skull and fragments of his teeth, a partial skull. Um, I'm not gonna buy that. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna buy that. I'm not gonna buy the coroner's report. I'm not gonna buy what his lawyer definitely is gonna say. I'm not gonna buy that. I mean, and whenever the Laundrie family, the Roberta and them starts talking, I'm not gonna buy the story either. Just the truth. Oh, the truth. And not for me because I'm nobody. I'm not a parent. I'm not a cousin. I'm not a family member of Petito. But for the Petito family, they want the truth. Why did you hide your son? Why did you do that? You know, and and to me, it doesn't really matter because I'm not a family member. But it does hurt because a life was taken away for no reason whatsoever. And then you get mad. Also, you get angry at the justice system and these officers in Moab, in Utah, where you saw how you saw that um that there was a domestic violence. You saw that Gabby was scared. You saw that she was scared. You saw she was scared. So why couldn't you arrest him? Or why couldn't you arrest her? Because there was a domestic violence. Someone had to. If someone would have gotten arrested, I don't care who it was. This wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have happened. But when you're not properly trained or things like that don't happen in your state, because Utah is a very, very conservative state, and it's a Mormon state, so they believe in concubines and they believe in all that kind of crap. And the Mormon religion is becoming one of the most powerful religions there is, besides the Catholic religion. Believe you me or not, they open up a church in Europe. I forgot where, but the Mormons open up a church in Europe. That in order for you to enter, you have to be on the list. You just can't go in there and visit. No, you have to be on a list for you to enter that church. It's like the Catholic Church when you go to when you go to Italy and you go to Rome. The Catholic Church has its own money. The Catholic Church, they have their own currency. They have their own laws. They're not governed by Italian law. No, it's a whole different. Once you reach that, it's a whole different law over there because they can do that because they got the money and the power to do something like that. So the Mormons are doing the same thing in Europe. So when you come to Utah, that's their state. So whether these officers were trained to look what domestic violence looks like, I don't know, but it was a bad part. It was a bad decision to let to let um to let Brian Laundrie out, to let Gabby Petito leave. They shouldn't have. One of them. I don't. To be honest with you, I would have been happy, content if Gabby would have been arrested. I think she would have called her father or her mother up and said, "Listen, mom or dad, I'm in jail." They would have flown down there and said, "No, no, no, no. You're not gonna see my daughter no more. You're not gonna see my daughter no more. Gabby, get on a plane or whatever. Maybe get your car and you're coming back home." No, and even if that didn't happen, and they got back together again, at least Brian would have known in his head, wait, 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 wait. The cops already know, the parents already know I can't be doing stuff like that. Or that would have given him a chance just to leave and say, you know what? I can't deal with this. I've been on the road for too long with this girl. It's consuming me. I don't know. I would have loved to go on a trip with my girl cross country and visit it. I wouldn't. People say, they probably that probably got to him. I wouldn't have gotten it to me because I'm the person that I care about the most, or at that time the most, right? And I would have enjoyed every moment. And if we argue, maybe some petty stuff. You use a lot of toilet paper. Then you chew my last gum. You use the last of the toothpaste. I didn't even brush my teeth, and my mouth, ugh, it reeks. But to argue about something big, no, you have to understand. You have you have two young people who Gabby Petito went from New York all the way to Florida to live with this kid who lived with his parents, and that's girls. That's a no. If you're dating some guy and he tells you move in with me, and he's still living with his parents, you say no, no. You don't date a guy that still live. You don't move in. You're not date. You don't move in into a man's house when he's still living with his parents. I don't care if he's a doctor. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. And but Gabby Petito was a young lady who didn't know, who was wrapped up in this love thing. I love him, he loves me, and blah 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 blah. And unfortunately, that youngness, that naiveness, cost her life. Unfortunately, you know, could we blame her? Some people say, "Oh, well, she should have known." No, she should have known. She's young, and if you're not in, how many times have I not gotten into my daughter's life, and I told her, "Don't do this, don't do that," but yet she still does it anyway. As a father, it hurts me, but it's nothing I can do. Because as a father, what I can do is teach my kids the best thing that I think is for them. The best. Once they get to a certain age, they're gonna do whatever they want. You could be a waiter, and your boss tells you this is the way I want you to. This is the way I want you to wait tables. But at the end of the day, you're gonna do it your way because that's the way you feel more comfortable with. Hey, Sandra Moran, how you doing? I appreciate that. Thank you. So at the end of the day, you try to teach your kids the best way you can. But at the end of the day, they're gonna end up doing what they think because we gotta remember when you're a kid, you think you know everything. Your kids tell you, "Oh, you don't have to worry about me, Dad. I know my way around. I know this. I know that. I know how they think. I know this. I know that." And when you come look at it, either they're pregnant, or your son got a girl pregnant, or your son did this, or your daughter did that, and you be like, "I told you so." As a parent, you can't feel bad. You can't say, "Oh, it's my fault," because a lot of parents do that. "Oh, it's my fault. I should have done this." No, you did the best that you could. You know, and in this case, you know, um, Gabby Petito went somewhere where she thought she felt safe. She liked the guy. She probably was in love with the guy, and it cost her life. Unfortunately, that's why it's important that if you have a daughter or even a son, if you have a daughter, it's very important that you teach her when a relationship is toxic, when you should just say it's over. Yes, once they grown, they will do what. Once they grown, they will do whatever they want, and you can't do nothing as a parent. As a parent, you can't do much because your hands are tied. Your hands are tied. Listen, I'm very strict with my kids. I told my son, "You get a girl pregnant, you leave in the house," because I'm not. This is from my experience. A lot of Hispanic parents have this habit that when their daughter gets pregnant or their son gets the girl pregnant, they allow the son or the daughter to bring in that child to let that boy move in or let that girl move in. And I, for one, am not that type of parent. I'm not like that. My son gets a girl pregnant, he's gonna have to move to the house and take care of that girl. He's gonna have to take care of that girl. He's gonna have to take care of that baby. If my daughter gets pregnant, she's gonna have to go in with move in with that boy or that man, and he's gonna have to take care of her. That's plain and simple. Because we have a tendency that we have a tendency to let our kids stay in the house, and then they stay there. So what you do, you let your daughter stay in your house when she's pregnant. She gives birth, and then she gives birth again. And she gives birth again because mommy and daddy let me stay in the house. Mommy and daddy loves me. Mommy and daddy love the grandkids. And that's not the way it is. That's not. We have Hispanics. We have a tendency to do that, and I don't do that. I have. I don't. I've always. I sway myself away from that. And my daughter is 20 years old, and my daughter moved out of the house when she turned 18 years old. And she called me once in a while. She goes, "Yo, Dad, I need this, I need that." Nope. Why not? You got a man. You got a man. Let your man take care of you. Now, if you got no place to stay, you're more than welcome to come here. But as far as money for your personal hygiene, your man. Anything that you want to eat, your man. Because you decided to leave the house. You decided to leave with a man that still lives with his parents. And to this day, he's a bum anyway. I told him to his face, he's a bum anyway. And she still asks me for some money. I say, no, you got a man. Simple as that. Hey, got diabetes. You're a grandmother of a 14-year-old? No, see, I'm not even a grandfather yet. And I'm gonna be 50 in November. Next month, I'm not a grandfather yet. Um, I'm not a grandfather. I'm not looking. Dude, a lot of people say, "Yo, King Gio, you're going to look forward to grandparenting. You're gonna love your grandkids." I'm not gonna say that I wouldn't love my grandparents. No, I mean being a grandfather, but I'm just not up to. I don't feel that. I don't feel that. I have little kid call me grandpa. No, if I became a grandfather at 50, I'm like, no, you cannot call me grandpa. No, you cannot do that. It's Gio. Yeah, I'll tell you when you have the right to call me grandpa. You have an oldest. All right, so let me ask you something, Sandra. Your son is 27 years old. Now let me put you on the spot. Your son is 27 years old, and he refuses to leave home. Why does he refuses? Why is he still in your house? I mean, I understand he's your son, but it comes a point you say, "Yo, Chico, that's it. You're 27. You're not 17. You're 27." No, but I don't see myself being called grandpa. Not yet. Look at this. I'll be 50, but do I look 50 to you? No. I don't even act 50. I don't even know what a 50-year-old person's supposed to act like, to be honest with you. Because I have a friend of mine who has his daughter who's 21 years old. Her boyfriend is 26. They still live in the house. From what I understand, he doesn't work, doesn't do anything like that. Why is he still in your house? I don't mind helping out. The only way that I let my daughter and her boyfriend stay in my house is that they get married. And they have to do as I say. But other than that, no, I can't. 27? No. I don't know. Yeah, but he's 27 years old. He's looking for an apartment now. Well, I mean, how long does it take him? I mean, at 21 years. I mean, I could see. I could maybe it's me, but 18, you go down to high school. 21, you go to college. You get yourself a job or whatever. You join the service or whatever it can be. And at 21, 22 years old, you want to live by your own. You don't want to live with mom and dad. I mean, at least I don't. Not because I have to live under my parents' rule. No, because everywhere you go, you have to abide by rules. There's laws, right? You have to abide by people's rules. So if you live in someone else's house, you have to abide by that person's house. I mean, by that person's rules. So where this notion that, or if I go stay at my friend's house, I have to do this, or if I go, no, you have to do something because no one's gonna let you stay in the house for free. If you're not paying, you have to do something. So I understand that. But to me, at 21, if I had a choice at 21, when I was 21, between a house, an apartment, or a car, I would choose an apartment. Because I was living in, I'm in New York, so I don't need a car to be in New York City. I have a train, I have a bus. The girl that want to be with me at 21 years old, you want to get on the bus, yo, that's on you. You know, but I would prefer having my own place because it's my place. I can do as I please. I can come in as I please. I can bring in whoever I want as I please. It's my own independence. You know, whereas if I move from my mom's house, I move from my dad's house, I move from my parents' house, I have to be home at a certain time. And even if I'm not at home at a certain time, to me consciously, that would make me feel bad because I'd be waking my parents up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I don't like that. I like to have my own little privacy. And I don't want to bother my parents or anything. You say you left your home at 16 and 45. See, growing up back then when you were 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, you could do that. You could have done that because, especially coming from the Bronx, you could have done that because you have a lot of friends you could have stayed with. Nowadays, you can't do that. You can't trust nobody. Number one, you can't trust nobody, and you just don't know what you're gonna get yourself into. You got a lot of psychos out there. I'm not saying that back in the 80s there were no psychos, but you know what I'm saying. But I would prefer having my own my own house, if not a house, an apartment, because it's mine. I don't have to deal with the bureaucracy of parenting. I don't have to, I would have felt just happy with me. Say, hey, mom and dad, I got my own place. Yo, mom, why don't you come over? We'll have dinner together. I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make that. It doesn't have to be in a fancy. I can be in the ghetto. I don't care as long as it's my own place. I'm the type of person that I can get. I get along with everybody. So I'm from the Bronx. I'm from 174th and Vice Avenue. Um, so I lived in the ghetto. I lived there. I lived by Burnside. I lived by 176 and Wharton Avenue. Um, I lived in the white section of the Bronx too, Pelham Parkway. I lived in Gun Hill Road in the projects of Gun Hill. Um, I stood a while at 241st Street in Broadway. That's not even gay. That's 231st Street in Broadway. There's too many blanquitos there, so I wouldn't worry about that. But I lived in rough neighborhoods that you had to walk on a straight line. And even then, I never got jumped. I never got robbed. I never got mugged. Why? Because number one, I stick to myself. I'm minding my own business. And if you do something around me, I don't give two flying fucks because it's none of my business. And that's how you live. You live to let live. I'm not nobody's business. Hey man, you shouldn't be doing that. Hey, you shouldn't be doing this. You should. It's none of my business. Yeah, well, that's true. Okay, so your son is 22. He left to Michigan. He's doing good. See, that's good. See, that's even great because I tell my kids, go out there and venture. And if you fail, you can always come back and say, you know what, Dad, I tried and I failed. No, you didn't fail because you tried. So I don't care if you got thrown out of the apartment or because of this, because of that. But at least you tried. At least your son is in Michigan, a whole different state. He's in Michigan. He's doing well. He's on his own. And if he came back to you and said, "Your mom, I tried," okay, fine. You welcome him with open doors. But at least he's trying, and that's the important part. You're trying. But kids nowadays, they don't do that. All they're on this, they're on that. They're on a cell phone. They don't care. Those are many places I used to hang out. Oh, the Bronx is. Let me tell you something. The Bronx back in the days was even as bad as it was good because it taught you hard knock school. If you didn't learn from Bronx, if you didn't learn in the Bronx, if you didn't learn in Brooklyn, like in East New York or Flatbush, or or or, or Brunswick, you wouldn't learn because those were tough neighborhoods. I with 170 Wharton Avenue, one my sister lived in 176 and Wharton Avenue, and I used to stay with her. And I used to take number four train. And when I got off the 1 and 2 train, I mean, when I got off out of the train station, the number four train, at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, yo, you were bound to get mugged at that time. And there was prostitution underneath the train station. And I walked from 167 all the way to 176. I didn't care. And I'm like, I didn't fear because I said, well, these motherfuckers may think that I'm crazy anyway. Because they're like, what is this crazy mofo doing at 2 o'clock in the morning walking these streets when he knows these streets are bad? So they didn't mess with me. But it teaches you, the streets of Bronx, the streets of Brooklyn it taught you a lot. You know, it taught you to be the man or woman that you are. I mean, you would back in those days, if you were 14, 15 years old, 16 years old, and you got pregnant, you were a girl, you learned to be a mom. You learned to be a mom because it was hard. It was hard. I don't, this is what I don't understand people from one party that says that they don't believe in abortion, right? They don't believe in abortion. They want you to have the baby, but once you have the baby, what happens? They don't want you to get on welfare. They don't want you to get on food stamps. They don't want you to get on Section 8. They don't want you to get none of this. But they want a 14 or 15 or 16 or 17 or 18-year-old to have a child when they themselves are a child. And when they have this baby, and these people have no job, these women have no jobs, and got no education, and they want to go on public assistance, you don't want them to go on public assistance because they have a kid, because your state decided that no, you have to have this kid, whether it's the rape, incest, it doesn't matter. You have to have a kid, and it's stupid. So you, in one hand, you want them to have a kid, but on the other hand, you don't want them to get government assistance. So you're talking about people that don't have education. You're talking about people who are just kids. You don't want them to have any of these things. It just makes no sense to me. Vice off of Tremont, University Park, Chester, and on 181st Morris Avenue. My mom is on 184th and Wharton. Yeah, but see nowadays, not one. I was in 184. I was in Warren Avenue when I came back from Puerto Rico in 2016, and that's changed. Warren Avenue's changed. All you see is a lot of Dominicans out there. Parkchester, still Parkchester. That's by the 6 train. Um, Morris Avenue. That's the same way Morris Avenue, the same way Sheridan Avenue is still bad. But the only good thing that I can say that about the South Bronx where I grew up is that it has gentrified. If you grew up when I grew up back in the 70s and 80s, you will see the South Bronx. It was broken down buildings. My mom has a picture of me when I was a kid, naked, right, in a building, and I thought I was somewhere in Puerto Rico because the building was all down and stuff like that. It's actually the Bronx, and I'm like, I don't remember that the picture. Like, maybe I was 2 years old, and I'm like, wow, this is how bad the Bronx is. And I remember at 10, 11 years old, seeing these buildings all abandoned. And I'm like, wow. But now those buildings that you saw that were abandoned back in the 80s are now houses that are worth $250,000, $300,000, $400,000. Who pays for a house $400,000 in the Bronx? I have no idea. But people do. People do. I wouldn't pay for it. Yeah. It sucks when we had to have kids. We Yes, we all. Who didn't play in abandoned buildings? We used to throw rocks off abandoned buildings on Burnside. I used to live in White's place. That's by Andrews Avenue, and it's a small street next to Andrews Avenue. And we used to go to abandoned buildings. And we play hide and go seek. We played throwing rocks. Even in our old building on White Place, in the roof. If anybody knows anything about old buildings back in the Bronx, on the roof they had a little top. Then you take that top and then you go inside. We had a club inside. We had a club inside there. We used to close the top and we used to talk and blah. We talked low because we didn't want the people. You were on top of people's apartment. But those were the days. Those were the days. My cousin used to have a kitchen, a pigeon coop, a bird coop up in the roof, and he used to. That was the shit back in the days. People had coops on top of the roof, and you see them fly birds, and that was just the way. We play stickball, we play handball, we play what do the Squid Game shit. We used to do that without the violence, of course. You know, all that stuff. We even play spin the bottle, people. Spin the bottle. That you don't see that shit now. And we just, even though we lived in a rough neighborhood, we made the best of it. Nowadays, you don't see that. We used to go to Randall's Island and play baseball, softball. Crotona Park play softball. I was in the karate school. I was playing baseball in Little League. As a family, Saturdays and Sundays, we used to go to Seven Lakes. Those for you who knows New York know where Seven Lake is at. And have fun. I did play softball, drink. My parents and family, the adults would drink their beer. And we had a good time. We used to go to Crotona Park and have a good time there. But nowadays you don't. Nowadays you don't see that. Everybody has a cell phone. You go to a restaurant, everybody's on their cell phone. Everybody's doing something different. You don't have that family quality time. We used to gather together, and we used to gather together on Christmas. We used to gather together on New Year's. We used to gather together on Thanksgiving, just for the hell of it. But you don't see that now. Everybody is in their own little world with these cell phones, and now you don't ask a girl out like you used to. Used to for those people from my age, we used to have a girl like this. We would go, Gio, would you go out with me? And you put a box, yes, and then you put no, and then you put maybe. All right, that's the way you used to ask a girl out sometimes, right? But now it's all cell phone. Damn girl, it's all cell phone. Damn girl, you look good, and blah blah blah. This, you want to go out with me? Blah blah. And there's no romance. There's not even chivalry no more. A guy doesn't open the door for a woman no more. That shit don't happen. None of that happen. Yeah, it is crazy when the gatherings of the family. That's what I said. The gathering of the family. This is not existent anymore. You don't see that anymore. You don't see the camaraderie that we had before as a family growing up in the 70s and the 80s. You don't see that. Yes, passing notes and getting caught. I used to have a teacher. I used to have a teacher. Her name was Miss Hayward. When I was going to PS something, I was on Tremont Avenue, And I used to despise this teacher because this teacher was so mean, and she used to whenever she wanted to get it, do me something, she used to have me write on a piece of paper a thousand times, I will not be bad in school. I will not be bad in class. And I like a fool, I did it. And I one time got pissed off at her. I just took a big paper and I put one. I will not do this. I forgot what it was in school a thousand times. You go, no, you're gonna have to write that a thousand times. No, I'm not gonna write that a thousand times. I've already done this too many times. And no, I'm not gonna do that. So she got mad at me. Then I had another teacher when I used to chew gum in the class. She used to make me put gum on my nose. I used to hate that. She goes, walk around and don't take it off. And you couldn't take it off because if you took it off, they should know that you took it off because the gum leaves a mark on your nose. So I one day got tired. So what I did was, when she left the classroom, she used to have one of those high chairs, and I took off the knob. So when she sat down on the chair, the whole chair broke down, and she fucked up her back. And they called my house, and yeah, I got a whooping, but it was worth it. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck. Nowadays, nowadays, in my days, we had respect for our teachers. I remember my mother slapped the shit out of me in front of my principal. They didn't care. My mom was like, if you gotta slap my son, you slap him. And then when I get home, when he gets home, I'll slap him again. That stuff about bullying, all that kind of shit, that shit didn't exist. I was bullied when I was a kid from this guy named Eddie Luciano, and he was fat. And he used to always take my lunch money and stuff like that. Yes, we do have lunch money. And then one day, I never wanted to use my karate, but one day I just got so mad that I had to use it. And I don't know where, because I was a skinny guy. And any weight like 210, I weigh like a buck 10, 90 pounds at least. I was a skinny guy. And I just picked him up, body slammed him, and put my knee to his neck. And I said, yo, this shit's got to stop, bro. You got to stop doing this. And he did. And that's why when I see kids nowadays that are being bullied, or these kids that are being bullied, and they take their own life away because they think they don't have no other outlet. The schools don't do anything. The parents are unbeknownst to what's going on because they don't have that trust with their parents. It hurts me when I see a 10-year-old taking his life away, or a 12-year-old taking her life away because she's being bullied in Facebook, or she's being bullied in school. And it hurts me because a lot of people may not agree with me, but the best way to confront a bully is straight up. Yo, what's wrong with you? And smack the shit out of him or her, because a bully's only as strong as you let that bully be. Once you confront that bully, and don't confront that bully in front of his friends. Nah, confront that bully alone and see how tough. Because the bully's always strong when they're around friends, but you confront them alone, yo, it's nothing. And if you beat the crap out of them in front of their friends, even better, because they know, yo, my brother's not a fighter with his hands, but whatever he picks up, he'll fight with. He'll grab it and hit you with it, and that's what you gotta do. You gotta do. But don't be intimidated by no bully. Don't be. And just we had, like I said, we had rough times in the Bronx, but we had good times. I would not trade my teenage years up to my 20s for the 20s of today. I wouldn't do that. I had way too many good things. Oh yeah, the fighting back in the days was fair. When that bullshit about you jumping me jumping you, that shit didn't exist. We fight one on one. I lose, you lose. We shake hands, and tomorrow we're fucking friends again. Tomorrow that's the way that's the way it was. Now the only thing that was funny back in the days is that you have a lot of instigators. You had a lot of instigators back then. So like, oh, Gio said this. Oh, this guy said that. Oh, Gio said this. Oh, Gio said that. And that they like to instigate. But there wasn't that you jump in, I jump in bullshit that do today. No, that wasn't it. It was one on one. Nowadays you can't do one on one because they shoot the shit out of you. So you gotta make sure that you give a good ass whooping again, and he or she will remember you by it. It won't come back to haunt you, because no one nowadays, no one fights one on one. It's either with a gun, or if you fighting, these two are fighting, and these three cats see that the boy's losing, they'll jump in. That's not a fair fight. And the funny thing is that when you see these videos with three jump in and all three of them get knocked out by one person, I enjoy watching that, because they would teach them not to do that shit again. Let them be a fight one on one, and that's it, bro. But they don't do that no more. They're too scared. Or when you fight, I still remember. I still remember when I had a fight. It was a Puerto Rican block against blacks and Indians, black and Indians. But it was mostly Indians though. I don't know where they got the balls to fight us though. But I had a cousin one day. We were fighting, and I'm like, we won the fight, right? And I'm like, my cousin's name is Ariel, and I'm like, yo, Ariel, where are you? And I'm looking all around. This happened on the Grand Concourse, and I'm looking all around. And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy at? And all of a sudden, I see a shadow underneath the car. I'm like, what the fuck? So I go down to the ground. There's my cousin hiding in a fetus position. I'm like, yo, what you doing down here? Oh no, I was really. And then he has the balls there. We go upstairs. He has the audacity because I was marked. His brother was marked. And my mom was like, "What happened to your face? What happened to your face?" No, we had a fight downstairs. And then my cousin was like, "Yeah, man, we had a fight. I did this. I did that." I said, "Man, get the fuck out of here. You ain't do shit. You were underneath the car. What the hell did you do? You ain't do a damn thing." My cousin has a mouth of a parrot. He likes to talk, but he doesn't do no action. I, on the other hand, I don't talk at all. I'm as passive as there is, but don't fuck with me. And my cousin used to, every time he was with me, that's what he used to do. He used to talk a lot. I'm like, yo, bro, if you next time you do some shit like that, and you don't throw up your hands, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you and him. And it was always like that. We went to Puerto Rico one time. This was funny. I was in Puerto Rico and we went. He goes, yo, G, let's go out. And I'm like, all right, so let's go. So he picked up this girl, and I said, yo, Ariel, don't pick up that girl because she was talking about, I'm going to go meet up with my man or my ex-man. Or me. I said, yo, don't pick up that girl. Let's go to San Juan. Let's do something different. Nah, this motherfucker takes me to Bayamon. So we go to Bayamon. My family from Bayamon. We go to Bayamon, and we go to this. He picks up this girl. In the middle of going to Bayamon, we go to buy some beer. She gets off the car when we stop in the store, and she gets in the car with another guy, her ex, right? And we said, fuck him. So we go to the party, and I go to the bathroom. And when I go to the bathroom, when I come out, I was like, yo, where my cousin is at? And my cousin's surrounded like by 10 mofos. He's been grabbed by the shirt. And I'm like, oh hell no. And when I went to these guys, a little small motherfucker like this small, I'm 5'9", he must have been like 5'2". He stops me from somewhere. He goes, yo, G, I know you're from this town, La Piedra. Yo, you crazy, bro. Don't do something stupid. Now, what you mean do something stupid, bro? That's my cousin. Yo, these niggas are these guys out here outnumbered, bro. They strapped. I'm like, all right, cool. So my cousin and I left. He got so scared he crashed into someone's house. And I'm like, all right. And I said, yo, Ariel, the next time that shit happens to you, if someone comes up to you, I don't care who it is, you just punch away, bro. You punch away. So that same guy that grabbed him to the shirt, he lived next to my cousin. They were neighbors. And I go to his house and I say, yo, I forgot his name. I said, yo, can I get a cigarette? He goes, yeah, get a cigarette. The minute that kid lit up a cigarette and put it in his mouth, wham, I punched him in the mouth. And I said, don't you ever jump my cousin again. And he was like, yo, you punched me in my lip, man. You broke my lip. I said, you damn right I broke your lip. And come outside. He was like, yo, you come inside my house. I was like, no, you come outside. Me go inside your house. That's trespassing. I can get arrested for that. You come outside, we do your shit outside. He was like, no, but you come inside. And again, I told my cousin, the next time you don't do shit, I'm beating the shit out of you. Bayamon's always been caliente, girl. Always. Depending on where you go in Bayamon. Out here, people don't understand one thing though. The projects here is none like the projects in Puerto Rico. If you go to the projects thinking you're big and bad, you ain't coming alive. And the projects in Puerto Rico ain't like the projects in New York, where you see these buildings that they 20 feet high, 20 floors, 40 floors. No, they're like maybe the biggest project that I see in Puerto Rico has maybe like 4 floors. That's it, 4 or 5 floors, and that's it. But it's so small that you have a lot of bad people. Like when you go to Puerto Rico, you go to Lloren Torres. That's bad. You don't go to Lloren Torres thinking you're big and bad. You don't go to any projects in Puerto Rico thinking that you're big and bad because you won't come out. They sell drugs, and the guy that sells the drugs don't want you to bring heat on them. So if you act all big and bad, that bullshit about fighting one on one, nah, bro. They don't play that shit down there. You go steal there and they catch you, you dead. You rape a child, you dead. You abuse of an elderly, you dead. Yeah, caseríos. That's what we call them in Puerto Rico, caseríos. They don't play. They do not play. I saw this guy on TikTok the other day. He said that I think he was from Venezuela. He went to La Perla and he took some pictures and they took the pictures away from him. They took everything away from him because La Perla, you go to La Perla, you cannot take no pictures at all because they selling drugs and they don't want you to take. One of the rules is you cannot take pictures in La Perla. That's it. You can go visit, but you cannot take pictures in La Perla. And a few months ago, as a matter of fact, like 6 7 months ago, a guy I think from Chicago, Illinois, went to La Perla, bought some drugs, and they told him, don't be taking pictures, don't take. And he still took out pictures. He got stupid, so he got into a fight with one of the people, or several people from La Perla. They shot him, put him on a trunk, drove him somewhere, and burned his body. You think those people were ever found? The ones who killed him, you think they were found? You think they ever want to find them? So Puerto Rico is great. You can go out there, you can live, you can do whatever, but don't think you're gonna go out there to be big and bad. It's kind of sad, right? Hector Macho Camacho, who lived in Harlem, and Harlem back in the days was a bad place. He lived in Harlem. Nothing ever happened to Hector Camacho at all in Harlem, in New York, when times were bad. No one fucked with Hector Camacho. He goes to Puerto Rico and someone kills him. And that was over 20 years ago. And to this day, they still haven't found the killer of Hector Macho Camacho. Haven't found him. You know how many unsolved murders there's been in Puerto Rico every year? You can go to Puerto Rico, you can kill someone, and if you know what you're doing, you get away with it because no one's going to rat you out. When the people of Puerto Rico supposed to talk, they don't talk. So until like I said, like Simon said, until you went to Puerto Rico, yeah, and that's sad. You know what it is? That you go and you fight the biggest fight in the world, which is in the ring, and then you got to fight outside because Hector Camacho had a drug problem, and he's fighting his own demons, which is himself. And then to go to Puerto Rico, I guess he was hanging out with the wrong people and gets shot and killed. And to this day, no one is found. No one's found his killers. And that's sad. Vega Alta, but Vega Alta, I think, has a bad notoriety of carjackings. I have a cousin who lives in Ciales. I have a cousin. My family is from my father's side from Vega Alta. Let me see. Bayamon is from my mother's side of the family. Right now, my family lives somewhere in the East Coast of Puerto Rico, so it's not that bad. We have a small caserio, so they don't fuck with you, but we don't live in the caserio. But and even when I live one time I lived I would say 300 feet away from the caserio, and this guy came up to me, knocked on my window. Yo, man, is this a spot? I'm like, get the fuck out of here. This ain't no spot, man. The spot's down there, bro. You can't tell the difference. Well, you never copped it before? Arecibo, Mega Alta. Arecibo has a nice beach. Mega Alta, I think it's Mega Alta. They have a beach too. So if you go to Puerto Rico and you want to go surfing, the best place to go to surfing is from Arecibo and up. Arecibo, because that's the West Coast. They have good waves. Puerto Rico will always be homophobic. Did you see 2 years ago where they killed that transgender? That she was just she was homeless because her parents didn't want her, and after she came out on the YouTube, they put her face on Facebook saying that she was doing something in the men's room when she wasn't doing anything at all. 2 days later, they shot her, and you heard the videos of the kids doing it. And to this day, they haven't found anything, and it's sad. The homophobia in Puerto Rico, it's sad. Right now, Puerto Rico has been going through a situation monetary wise that they themselves got themselves into it. The justice system in Puerto Rico sucks. Bureaucracy in Puerto Rico, the government itself is horrendous. And when the people of Puerto Rico go up there and they speak their voice and they yell like they did 4 years ago when they took down the then governor Pedro Rosselló because he was a misogynist and he was talking bad about women, about home and the homosexual community, and the homosexual community, the gay community. They took him down. They were at the White House. I mean, they were at the Fortaleza, as we say, and they demanded that he come down. But what happens? 4 years, 2 years later, they go to Puerto Rico. The people of Puerto Rico, instead of voting for someone other than the two political major parties there, they voted for the same party that this guy, Pedro Rosselló, was in. So what happens now? So now you're voting for Perluisi, right, which is PNP, and now Perluisi passed a law that the Puerto Rican government, check this out, the Puerto Rican government is going to pay the bonds that were unpaid, which is $30 billion, that those bonds are going to get paid to the bond shareholders. Because in Puerto Rico, when you bought bonds in Puerto Rico, back in those days, those bonds were guaranteed, meaning that before they even paid out anybody else, you was going to get paid on your bond. That was guaranteed. That's under the Constitution of Puerto Rico. So a lot of gringos went to Puerto Rico and bought bonds because it was guaranteed money. So whether the government laws were going to be, their money is guaranteed. So that's what they did. So now, under this governor, they're going to pay half, what's called not half, HALF, but it's HALVES, which is totally different. And they're going to take the money from the pension people. So if you worked as a fireman, if you worked as a police officer, if you worked in any government office, if you worked in any government office and you had a pension coming to you, it's forgotten, because they're going to take some of that money of your pension to pay off the debt. And why is he doing this? Because he's an attorney, and he has clients that he has to adhere to, and he has to say, you know what, you're getting me money, so he's got to get them. He's got to get these people their money. So what's the best way to get the people their money? It's white. It's becoming a governor. I mean, he was a senator before, so he knows the laws in and out, because he is a lawyer in Puerto Rico. So, but he worked for a law firm here in the States that owns bonds in Puerto Rico. So here you are. So that teacher that worked 30 years of her life or his life and put into a pension plan, that's gone. The police officer that put in 20, 30 years as a police officer, that pension, that's gone. Right? That's why Puerto Rico, I would say 7 years ago, Puerto Rico had the second biggest police force in the nation, behind New York. New York had 33,000. New York City, that means Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, and Staten Island. They had 33,000 strong police officers. New York City, all right? And Puerto Rico had 17,000 strong officers. So that's a lot of cops for a small island of 3.5 million. At that time, close to 4 million people. So that's a lot of cops. You don't see that no more. Right now, you see maybe 11,000 to 10,000 police officers in Puerto Rico. No one wants to be a police officer in Puerto Rico, so it's not worth it. You're busting your ass for $2,200, $2,500 a month. You divide that by 4, that's nothing. The corruption is they got, you can't go into the caseria, you can't go into the projects, because these motherfuckers will shoot at you. And then when you do an arrest in the street, they still bitching about it. Puerto Rico, a few years ago, in Puerto Rico, if you had a thief inside your house, or someone broke into your house, and you gave that person, if you killed that person, you screwed. If you beat that person up and that person was injured, that person could sue you because you beat that person up. That's how antiquated the law was in Puerto Rico. And then a few years ago, they stopped that law, they changed the law, and now it's stand your ground law, which that should have been done 20, 30 years ago. Well, they're not going to receive any help, because to this day, there's still houses in Puerto Rico that have blue tarp. All right, Donald Trump didn't do shit for Puerto Rico. All right, despite the fact that he said that Puerto Rico is a corrupt island, it does not matter. It's a corrupt island, but you have people there you have people living there who lost all their livelihood because of the hurricane. They shouldn't pay for what the government is doing, and yet people didn't receive shit. To this day, people have not received 1 cent for fixing their houses. Not one. But who do I blame? Not only do I blame the Trump administration, I blame the United States for both parties, and I also blame the government of Puerto Rico because instead of them going around nonchalant saying, "Oh, we want U.S. citizenship, I mean, we're already citizens, we want to be statehood," you should be fighting for what's for the people. Puerto Rico right now, it's not up to becoming a state. I'm sorry. They're not up to becoming. He gave them paper towels. And then the governor then Pedro said, "Yo, when Donald Trump did this, I was embarrassed. That was embarrassing." Oh, wow, I'm jet lagging here a lot. That was embarrassing. And then the governor at that time, Pedro said, "Yo, they didn't do anything about it." He said, "Yo, I was like, what the fuck?" And then he takes him to Bayamon, where they still had light. He took him to a rich part of town in Bayamon, where these rich people still had light. They had water. Why didn't you take him to where there was no light, when there was no water, when people were drinking water out of a creek? That's what you should have done. You know, it's embarrassing. I was embarrassed when he did that, but it is what it is, man. Puerto Rico will not learn. The only way, and I'm going to say this, instead of if Puerto Rico wants to become a state, forget about the Democrats. Forget about the Democrats. You have to go after the Republicans because it's because you have to change the minds of the Republicans. You could change the minds of every Democrat, but it has Puerto Rico would not become a state unless Congress says so. Not the president, but Congress. And you have to convince the Republican Party that making Puerto Rico a state would benefit you. Not it will benefit Puerto Rico, but it's going to benefit you. How is it going to benefit the party? Because we might get more Republicans than we get Democrats. That's why That's what they don't want Washington D.C. to become a state because most of the state of Washington, the citizens out there are Democrats, and that's not good for the Republican Party. The same as Puerto Rico. Most people in Puerto Rico vote Democrat, and the Republican Party don't want to see that. And even if you make Puerto Rico a state, you know how expensive that's going to be. That's going to be very expensive. Right now, it was something very important for you guys. On November the 9th, there's going to be a ruling of whether or not Puerto Rico should receive SSI. If Puerto Rico receive SSI, and then things will be opening up, which they should anyway, because the Puerto Rican people have fought. All those people who do not know the history of Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rican people have fought in every single war that the United States have been in. All right, fought in the Korean War, fought in Vietnam, fought in World War One, fought in World War Two, fought in in the Iraqi War, fought in the Kuwait War, fought in Afghanistan. The Puerto Rican people have given up their lives to fight for what people say freedom, which is not freedom because they're just fighting because the states are sending them, the government is sending them out there to fight for what? Basically, it's oil. Okay, it's oil. It's not freedom because no one from another country has ever come to this country and infringed on our rights. Think about that. No country has ever come with soldiers and say, "Yo, you can't do this." No, no. That's the mentality they want you to think. All right. No one has come from another country and told us what we can and can't do. But our own government tells us what we can and cannot do. That's the shit. But we don't go out there to fight for our freedom because our freedom is already guaranteed here. We fight. We go out there. We fight because why? Because petroleum, the oil industry, to to defend another country. Stupid. It's just plain stupid. But the Puerto Rican people have contributed a lot to the United States. And if they seek, and if that's the way, if that's what they want to seek, if the people of Puerto Rico, if that's what they want to seek, then it should be granted. Right? Hawaii regrets to this day becoming a state. And if you look at the history of Hawaii really didn't want to become a state. They were forced into statehood. Because becoming a state that took away all them being Hawaiians, they're Polynesians and all that kind of stuff, whatever things that they had down there. It took away from their ancestry. It took away from who they were. Because now they're a state now they're called citizens. They didn't want all that. But the state in Hawaii, they were forced into becoming a state. It wasn't that the referendum. No, if you look at the referendum for Hawaii, it was very, very narrow. And mostly people, if you ask the people of Hawaii, they will tell you we didn't want a statehood for our island. We didn't, but it was forced upon us. And you think New York is expensive, or California is expensive? Hawaii's expensive. It's expensive to live in Hawaii. Yeah, no, it pisses everybody off, Sandra, because you come from an island that you give so much, but they give you back in return. They give you shit. To this day, Puerto Rico, just the other day, they went up to the minimum wage was at 7.25. They went to 8.25, $1 more. That's nothing. That's nothing. I believe, just like here in the United States, I believe Puerto Rico should all those people who live in Caserio, you should remove them out of the Caserios. All those people, even here in the States, everybody that has Section 8, everybody that's living in the projects, they should take them out and say, you know what? Instead of me giving you $1,000, $2,000 a month to pay for an apartment, I'm gonna do something even better. You got no GED, you got no high school diploma, you're gonna go to school. You're gonna get your GED. We're gonna help you get your GED. We're gonna help you. We're gonna teach you how you can get your own property, pay for your own shit. Because as minorities, they don't teach us that in school. They don't teach you about 401ks. They don't teach you about the stock market. They don't teach you none of that. They don't teach you none of that. All right. But if you teach the blacks and Hispanics about stock markets and about getting a house and about doing this, I guarantee you they will do it. Because I lived in the projects in Staten Island, and that's not a place to live. All right, there are too many lazy people. There are too many people who think they're entitled. Section 8. You say you wish you had Section 8. Section 8 is good if you're gonna get on your feet and then learn from that, and then save money to buy yourself your own house. Getting a house in the United States is so easy that it's not even funny. It's not. So many programs out there for you to get a house. That you say to yourself, wow, I didn't know this until I bought my house last year. But had I known this, had I known what I know now, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I would have had a house a long time ago. But I didn't know. As smart as I am, because I went to Bronx High School of Science, but as smart as I am, there's a little things that I do lack of, and I didn't know. I didn't know that. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with having Section 8. But as long as you have Section 8, what I suggest is take that money that you have saved up, save that money, be frugal, save that money, and get yourself a house. There's nothing better than your own little place. Where if you want to knock the wall down, you knock it down. If you want to paint it black, you paint it black. You don't have to worry about none of that shit. Yeah, back in our days, they don't teach us that. Look, I'll give you I'll give you an example. You're paying $1,000 a month for an apartment, right? You're paying $1,000 a month for an apartment. And when you see a lot of programs out there, a lot of people, the bad thing about people when they do these programs, when I say programs, they do these commercials, they do these advertisements. They say, if you put down 250, if the house costs 250,000 or $300,000 down, the $300,000, you put 20% down, that's 30,000. That's $60,000 that you have to put. So a lot of people when they see the big number, 300,000, 250,000, they're like, I can't afford that. Huh? Clean high school is good. So when you say 300,000, 250,000, you think that's too high. But if you tell somebody you can get an apartment, you can get a house for 60, 70, $80,000, you can. You just have to look. But you can't, and then you tell that person you got programs like FHA programs, you got programs like USDA programs, you got programs like the VA program. The VA program you have to put no money down if you're a VA veteran. But FHA is little money down. With USDA, there's no money down. You just have to live somewhere in the country, something like that. But there are a lot of programs out there that will help you with down payment. A lot of those stuff, and our people don't know that. Look at that, $1,300 for a one-bedroom apartment. For $1,300, you could buy yourself a $100,000 house, depending on where you're at, or 3 bedroom or 4 bedrooms, and pay $1,300. Pay $1,300 in mortgage, and it's yours. At least the banks until you pay it, but it's yours. You're not making no money. You're making the bank rich, but that's besides the point, right? So if you could take those $1,300 to an apartment, you could definitely do it for a house. I know I would. And there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of programs out there that helps you out, but we don't know about it. And now is a good time it's a good time to take advantage of that and just do it. Even if you have Section 8 and you speak to your caseworker, Section 8 does help you find a house, and they'll help you with I don't know how they help you, but there are programs out there that they work with Section 8, and they will take Section 8. So you have to speak to your caseworker about that. But the caseworker won't tell you that. But that's something that you have to do on your own. So you also have, let me see what, Habitat for Humanity. That's a good place. You They teach you how to control money. They teach you how to conserve money, and you have to do, every state's different. You have to do some community hours. So those community hours, you're building someone else's home, and as you're building someone else's home, you're taking classes on how to save money, how to take your money. You get paid, you put this down, you put certain amount for this, certain amount of that, so that when you do get your own place, you know what to do. They teach you that. Plus, as you're building that home and Habitat for Humanity, you're building someone else's home. You're going to end up building your own home, your own house. So you're building someone else's house, and someone else is going to build your house, but you're going to help build a house so you can appreciate what it is to have a house. That's the whole point of building someone's house, and you can build your own house so you can learn what it is to have your own place. So this is when you go to these places, when you go to your own home, you appreciate it more. You say, you know what, bam, I busted my ass. So now I know what it is to bust your ass. Instead of saying, you know what, the government gave me this, so I can do. If I want to clean it, I clean it. If I don't want to clean it, I don't clean it. That's the difference between receiving something from the government and you busting your ass and working for it. Because once you work for it, you appreciate it more. And that's the truth. See, but what your sister should do, even though she's on Section 8 with a house in Far Rockaway, that money that she's not paying for the house, she should take that money and buy her own house. Like I said, I have nothing against people with Section 8, but I do believe that people should get weaned off Section 8, and they should find their own place and build on that. What you gonna do when you die? You can't leave the house. You can't leave the voucher to your kids. And that's what happens. People get too complacent, and they don't want to move forward. And that's the point. All these programs are designed for you to move forward, but through administrations, they just keep these people. They keep the people on Section 8. Um, the Bronx to me, like I said, I went to the Bronx back in 2016 when I went to New York. Again, the Bronx is not the same as it was before. It's not. It's just it doesn't grab my attention. My best friend's in the Bronx, and she lives on 231st Street and Broadway on Bailey Avenue, and it's not the same. It really not. You know. So that's what it is. People get too comfortable living when the government is giving you. When you should say to yourself, you know what, the government's giving me, but I don't want to have this done forever. I want to do something for me. And when you get something done for you, and you like when I bought this house only cost me $70,000, people, and I only paid $499 a month in mortgage, which I'm getting a new job now. So hopefully, my hopefully within 4 to 5 years, I have it paid off. I don't have to wait 30 years to pay for it. But I never had Section 8, but I've been on food stamps. I've been on welfare. I've been on SNAP. I've been on all that, and all that has taught me. You know what? I don't want to live. I don't want to live. I don't want to live dependent on the government. I don't want to do none of that. It was great, and I went on those programs because you know why? Because I've worked and I've put into those programs. I paid my federal taxes. Federal taxes are taken out of my paycheck every freaking week. So I can say, you know what? I'm not living off this because I'm paying for this. I'm paying for the service. Now, those people that never worked a day in their life, that never put into the system, and they get welfare, they get Section 8, and they get disability, those are the people who are scheming off a system, and those are the people that should be off a system and say, you know what, you have to learn how to live on your own. You have to learn how to do this. Then that's when the government should say, we're going to help you do this, but you're going to have to help yourself do this. And a lot of people don't do that. Oh, you're married? Okay. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care if you're working. You're gonna pay minimum wage, but taxes are being taken away from you. So if you out of a job and you want to get a welfare, I don't care for that. I really don't care because you already paid to the system. You're paying every time you pay federal taxes. Money is taken away from you for these programs, for Social Security, for welfare, for housing, for all that. So I don't mind. What I do have a pet peeve is those people who've never worked a day in their life. They got Section 8, they got housing, they got SSI, SSD, all this kind of stuff, and they never worked a day in their life. And plus, on top of that, they have the audacity to work under the books. So this way, they get all these public they get all this government assistance. Plus, they work under the books, so they don't get caught. So then now you're getting paid under the books. You're getting paid good money there. Plus, you got your welfare, and in New York, you get when you get welfare, you get cash too. So now you're getting welfare, then you're getting food stamps, you're getting cash. You got your Section 8, you got this, you got that. You're living good. So why would you want to work? What? Because the government is giving you everything. You become so complacent that you just don't care, and that's not cool. Oh, that's cool. Working in the hospital. I was born in Jacoby Hospital. Right. That was back when Jacoby Hospital was white in Pelham Parkway. I don't know why was I even born in Jacoby? Boy, my mother wasn't even in that vicinity. I don't know. Maybe she was giving birth. She was around the. But I don't remember. I don't remember. I know my brother was. I was born in Jacoby. My sister was born in Puerto Rico. I was born in Jacoby. My brother was born. One of my brothers was born in Lincoln Hospital. I think both of my brothers, my two youngest brothers, were born in Lincoln. I know my youngest brother. I think my second youngest was born in Lincoln Hospital too. I was born in Jacoby. My sister was born in Puerto Rico. What I can see Lincoln Hospital because that's close to where my mother was from. But Jacoby Hospital, why was she? Now you know what? I think she had a man out there. Yeah, I'm gonna ask her what the hell was she doing out there now. After 50 years, I'm gonna ask her. I'm gonna confront her and say, "Mom, St. Barnabas Hospital. Yeah, that's my Fordham Row. I did rehab in St. Barnabas. I did 7 days of rehab. I didn't know those hospitals. Yeah, St. Barnabas Hospital is around there. Then you got Tremont. I remember right to that area by Arthur Avenue because there's two Arthur Avenues. There's Arthur Avenue in Little Italy, and there's Arthur Avenue around St. Barnabas area. If you go further down by Tremont, and right around there, they used to have a gang called Chingalings, a bike gang. Oh, so you work at St. Barnabas? All right, well that's cool. I ran through all that. There's not a crack or a crevice in the Bronx that I haven't been through. West Bronx, a little bit of Queens I've been to, not too much Manhattan. I mean, I've worked in Manhattan. I know Manhattan like the back of my hands, but it's not so much like I said that I hung out in Manhattan. Um, Brooklyn, I only stayed in Brooklyn one time, and that was when I became from Puerto Rico to New York. I stood in the shelter in Brooklyn. But other than that, and then my last stint in New York was Staten Island, which was a cool experience, but it was too many drugs in Staten Island, especially where I lived at. I lived in two of the worst places in Staten Island, and luckily nothing ever happened to me. But when you see someone get shot in front of your face, like yo, it's time for you to go. Yeah, the Chingalings, the bike gang right there on Tremont Avenue. See, so that's the school that was around the Chingalings, the elementary school. I used to go to that school. I remember going to that school and I asked a girl out on the fourth grade. and I forgot her name, but I asked her out, and she said, "Well, if you want to go out with me, you have to ask me three. You have to go out with me 3 times because I got 3 boyfriends at the same time." And I'm like, "What? What the fuck did you just say?" I'm like, "That's all right, man. That's too complicated for me, man. I'm only 10, bro. I don't need this shit." So I was like, "Fuck that." No, but Staten Island has its good place. Don't get me wrong. Staten Island has some beautiful places. Staten Island does, but it was just those 2 spots. Because you go through Susan White, the high school, and there's some projects around. I think that those called the Berry Houses, and those projects are nice. People keep it clean. But while I lived in West Brighton, that was horrible. And then I moved to another house. Then from the projects from there, I moved to a house in Staten Island. That's I forgot the name of it, but that's where the Wu Tang came from. And that project right there, that shit is bad. What's it called? Not Stuyvesant. I forgot the name of it. But if you Google it, you look at it. It's by the pier. Stand on the ferry. Stand on the ferry has by there they have you have 2 projects. You have the one by the ferry. That's not that as bad. And then you have another one. You know, yeah, but Vice and Tremont wasn't that bad. Actually, if you went down to Vice and Southern Boulevard, that's where I'm from, 174th and Vice. I deleted my job because you know people here on YouTube. No, actually, I don't know. I don't know nobody on YouTube. I came on YouTube last year, and a lot of people don't know who I am because I rarely tell who I am, but I just really don't care. But I don't speak to nobody on YouTube. I voice my opinion. I say what I gotta say. Then I'm out. I thank everybody those who have subscribed to my channel. I say thank you. Those who give me good critic, I say thank you. Those who curse me out, I say thank you. Those who have said that I'm an asshole, I say thank you. Because even if you get bad critics, if you get bad comments, yeah, comments are comment, right? Still pushing you up, you pushing yourself up. So I don't care about that. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you, Sandra, for joining my team, for joining YouTube. I shall be back tomorrow. Hopefully, God willing, on Halloween night, right? Because where I live at, they don't celebrate. They don't. I came here last year. This is old Blanquito town, and we live in it's basically old people. They don't even have one light bulb here outside. I mean, no light bulb. And we decorated, my wife and I, we decorated outside. We did this, we did that, and there was no one came trick or treating. So we did the outside this year, but we're not doing trick or treat. So, oh yes. That is true. You are right. So we just don't say where you from and blah 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 blah. We could do that because people are, yeah, you are correct. People are evil. That's why you guys sometimes you don't say I'm from here, I'm from there. Because some people, oh, you're from there, so I know where to get you. So we just keep it like that. Wait, well, thank you for thank you for joining. Thank you for watching me. This looks horrible now, but thank you for watching. I shall be back tomorrow, God willing. Hope you guys had a safe night. God bless each and every one of you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum, salaikum salam. You comment. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you for joining in. So thank you, Gatahiri. Thank you for everybody. Thank you, J Jerk. Thank you, John G Man. I appreciate it. And thank each and every one of you who's going to see this video later on. Oh, don't see it. Peace.